Module 4, Understanding My Community. Shawnee Mission South is located in Overland Park, Kansas, one of the major cities in the state of Kansas, in the Shawnee Mission School District. It's one of 5 high schools. Customs and tradition, we have homecoming, which accompany that is a German fest for our band. They go to Germany, and they also sponsor students from Germany coming here, so they do that as a fundraiser. They also do Kids Fest, which is where kids from around the district or around our attendance area, go and just participate in games. Trunk or Treat and Captain American are both sponsored by our life skills class, or our personal life skills class or social skills class. It helps the students with intellectual disabilities get out into the community, so they do a trunk or treat for all activities and give out awards, and the cost to get in is a canned food item. Captain American is kind of like our beauty pageant type thing. It used to be Mr. American, but then they changed it to Captain American. So one of the events in there was, best principal impersonation. Basketball is huge here. We have 2 great basketball teams. Any game against Shawnee Mission East is our local rival. We share a boundary with them, so any game against them, whether it be soccer, basketball, or football, is always a huge game, huge turnout. The homecoming parade is gaining momentum. It's not huge because we're just in the middle of a neighborhood, so we're not really by a huge community center or a city center. And then we also have the Athletic Hall of Fame from all the great athletes that have been here, and to recognize them. Population characteristics. So citywide, 61% of ages 25 and higher have a bachelor's degree. 5% are under the age of 5. 22% are under the age of 18. 56% are ages 19 to 64. And about 14.9% are 65 and higher. School-specific stats, gender, male and female, 47% male, or 47% female, 52% male. Our male population has actually been increasing over the last 3 years, I saw on KSDE. Race, 67% Hispanic, 18%, or 67% white, 18% Hispanic, 7% African American, and 7% other. That's going to be Asian, as well as some refugees that we've had an influx in, and some Middle Eastern. Socioeconomic, about 25% of our school qualifies for free and reduced lunches. Communication channels, social media is probably our most popular form. Twitter, by far, is the most popular form. Facebook and Instagram, we use it a little bit, but if anybody uses it, that's going to be personal use, really. Twitter, though, is huge. Our administration is very active there. We do have some news outlets. Shawnee Mission Post is the local newspaper, as well as Kansas City Star, which is the more metro-wide newspaper. Then we have major news channels that can communicate stuff for us if we needed to pull off something big, so to speak. Regular communication for families is the Raider Family Focus. For staff, it's the Raider Review. There's a light board at drop-off and pickup that we used for scrolling messages. Our student information system, Skyward, we can communicate with. Canvas and Remind, some teachers use that. I think overall Twitter is the one that I go to, and I encourage my parents and students to use. I go there all the time for stuff, as well as reading the Raider Family Focus or the Raider Review. Either one of those are great aspects. One community group, PTSA, our Parent Teacher Student Association, they do great stuff for us as teachers, recognition and supporting students. We have a booster club for all of our extra and co-curricular activities. They're awesome and amazing. Our band booster club is probably the biggest, but not one is any more or less active than the other ones. Fathers Club is a national organization, so they work and they do community service. They do a fundraiser for fertilizer in spring. But then they also do some overall beautification of the school. We do have a Shawnee Mission South Educational Foundation, and they do an annual golf fundraiser and auction. And we don't have any one church group that we work with, but a lot of them do stuff for us as teachers, whether it's bringing in coffee or donuts or pastries or something like that at various times of the year. Leadership, I would say the one outside group of any of them listed, we don't really get a lot of Lions Clubs or Rotary or Kiwanis or Knights of Columbus or any other outside group that really does anything with the school per se. They do with scholarships. I would say the one outside group that does stuff with schools is going to be the Kauffman Foundation. They're started by you and Marion Kauffman. They currently pay for a college counselor, so helping students find colleges, get into colleges, setting up college visits. A career counselor, which is helping students identify careers that they want, managing our individual plan of study, things like that. They help establish YEK, which is kind of a spin-off of them, as well as Kauffman Scholars for first generation college students, Title I schools, and things like that. They have far-reaching money in the metro area and probably work with every school district in the metro. So they are huge and are have some really deep pockets, which help. Economically, there's not any one employer that employs most of our families. Garmin is always expanding. Amazon just built one huge distribution area. They're building another one. They're building another one. So I imagine that they're going to be employing quite a bit. Dots Pretzels just built a big plant about 15 miles away from us. So there's a lot of growth that's currently happening economic-wise. I can't think of anything that's necessarily closed that would negatively impact the job market to a degree where that any of these other ones haven't been able to make up for it. Politically, it's organized in a fairly typical fashion with the mayor, city council, county commissioners, school board members. No one really has the most power, but I would say the school board and the county health departments have been the one that we've heard from the most, just with all the pandemic stuff. Anytime the county health department makes a decision, then the school board has to respond and to change whatever mitigation strategies we're using. But outside of that, there isn't any one political group that has been really cornering the school or making lots of changes in and around schools. Social tensions. Here for us, the recent LGBTQIA+ initiatives have been probably the stickiest things that we've had to deal with as of late. Whether it's gender neutrality, using preferred names. So our student information system allows us to show preferred names, which is great. When you have a substitute and, you don't want to call Sally Sally when they prefer to go by Steve. An example like that. So it allows a substitute to know, and not to have any kids singled out. And actual physical building considerations, when our building was added onto with the new theater, we put in gender neutral changing rooms. Mask usage is probably the other area of social tension that I've experienced as of late. Our students are great about it. We do require masks right now at all events and during all times. And they've been pretty good. It's been more the parents of having to work with some of that and some of the teachers as well. Previous community efforts, our athletic area was just redesigned as well. The elementary schools that feed into our building are being rebuilt slowly but surely. Some schools were consolidated. So what was 2 elementary schools combined into one to make one larger elementary school. So there was those. We just had one rebuilt that opened up 2 years ago, and then one just got torn down and is being rebuilt. So we're expecting that to bring in a lot of new people as well, because newness sometimes brings about movement, is what they're finding. Other building upgrades, we just had a theater rebuilt and done and added to. Our HVAC units were added to. The Career Technical Center, which houses EMS and fire, kind of study around that. Microtransit, which is a busing through the public transportation. It offers small buses that run kind of down a major road through the district. And then our Center for Academic Achievement has biotech, culinary, engineering, and things like that. At the Culinary Center, you can go get dinner there once a month. And it's pretty good. Power structure, I would say overall, the group that has the most power in our district is our NEA. They are strong, they're vocal. One of the highest paying districts in the area, which is a good and bad, because teachers come here for the pay, but then they don't leave or retire. So sometimes there is that thing where it's hard to move on then, or it's hard to justify moving on to another district when you're taking a pay cut, but you're gaining responsibility. So there's those things to consider. Just went from teaching 6 classes to going back to 5, and that was part of NEA. Drawing on the framework from French and Raven, all about power. They discuss referent power and expertise power and how to leverage power within your classrooms. And I think our NEA really gives teachers the ability to feel power within their classrooms. Multicultural issues. We do have core and deep equity training for staff, and YES, which is Youth Equity Stewardship, which is also through Corwin. They started staff affinity groups for Latinx, African American, GSA, which is Gender Sexuality Alliance. The Black Lives Matter movement kind of came and went. I'm not saying that it's not an issue anymore as far as any sort of systemic inequities or anything like that. But it's not one that is at the forefront. I think more it's just about dealing with humans as humans and being kind to everybody, regardless of what issues you may have with their political, sexual, gender, ethnicity, whatever. So I think that's where more of the push is going for us. Public opinion, I live in the area, so I also have the added benefit from hearing from peers whose students attend where I work. Outside of that, we do have some surveys that we send out, but we don't really see them, which is unfortunate. I think this assignment correlated to the standards by examining the different structures in place within the community. Forces us, the practitioners, to really look at what impacts our communication and also what impacts the community as a whole. It's relevant to learning that forced me to look at demographics that I don't often consider as strengths or weaknesses in the overall success of the school. Examining the influences the community has on the overall school will help in determining how to best communicate with the community at large. Personally, I was not aware of the power the NEA plays in teachers' ability to feel some power over their situation. I think that's huge. Also, I never considered being sandwiched between an urban and affluent district and how that impacts how my own district operates. And then these are the references I have as well. Thank you.